Hello, this is Nitin Dahad with the Times. I'm talking to Amir Panush, who is the CEO of Ceva. Amir, hello.
Hi Nathan, how are you doing?
Fine. I think we last met at CES in Las Vegas in January 2025, and I think come August, yeah, you've announced a milestone in the company's history. Is that right?
Yeah, that's very correct, Nathan. And this is truly great achievements that we are extremely proud of. Think about it. There are very few companies that have been able to drive and enable 20 billion devices, and that's a work that we have been doing for the last 2 decades. And even more than that, what I'm very proud with the whole team, how we have been able to build a very strong trust and relationship with many customers in the industry, and to go and innovate and help the semiconductor industry move forwards through the two major milestones of revolution of the mobile era and then the IoT connected era in the last 2 decades, and now moving forward into the next frontier, which is the AI era that is coming on our way. So we are extremely
Fine.
excited of where things are and where we are heading. You know, if you think about the 20 billion devices, while it's so-called through the last 2 decades, last year in 2024, we've enabled for the first time more than 2 billion devices on an annual basis. And that
Hmm.
has been also a major achievement and a milestones for us. And just recently, IP Nest came with a new market reports related to 2024, indicated we increase even further our market share for wireless connectivity as an IP provider, achieving 68% market share, which is just phenomenal to see how we are able to support tens, if not hundreds of customers across the whole market segment, across the many market segments, and specifically wireless connectivity IP. So if
Yeah.
you look at the domain of all the wireless connectivity IP out there, we are definitely the leader in supporting this type of technology with now more than 68% market share. So it's from anything that's so-called what is called wide access wireless connectivity, like what used to be LTE 4G and now has moved to 5G and beyond. It's
Yeah.
related to can be satellites communication and then the short range communication or connectivity, which is the Wi-Fi that everyone knows, the Bluetooth that everyone knows, the new one that is coming UWB and so on. So almost every device that you can think of that connected wirelessly with other devices or with the cloud, very likely Ceva IP is inside those devices.
What are the other areas that you're so very strong in?
Yeah, so if you look at the whole landscape of IP that we provide, definitely a major basis of that is wireless connectivity that we just discussed about. In addition to the connect, we have lots of IP capabilities within sensing. So if you think about the different sensors around that, whether it's audio sensors, video imaging sensing, radar, and so on, we are basically providing the IP technology that enable to get that analog content from the outside world, so-called the sensing,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
translate into the digital domain, so those devices can understand and make decisions based on that. And on top of that, we are providing lots of software capabilities, like for audio immersive type of experiences, like 3D spatial audio that everyone using today in their AirBuds or TWS devices. We provide lots of those capabilities as well as on the IP. And then, of course, we'll talk later about the next frontier, and really
Yeah.
super excited what we see out there related to how the whole AI revolution is coming our way.
Tell me just a little bit about the background and how Siva got to where it is.
Yeah, so if you go 20 years back, right, to the early 2000s, right, back then it was the desktop or the PC era, and we were just on the dawn of moving into mobile. Before smartphone even came to the market, it was more like a true mobile device, and for
Hmm.
that you needed basically to have wireless access and connectivity ubiquitously and everywhere, and that's where this type of technology, the modern technology, came, and we with our very unique DSP, digital signal processing, so-called the core of that modern wireless technology, we came to market with that. And to the most part back then, it was Freescale with Motorola and then TI that dominated that market. We came and enabled new players like Infineon, Samsung, Broadcom to really come with wireless connectivity, modem cellular technology, and help so-called democratizing that market and help drive more innovation, better access. And with that, we've seen we truly enable and help to drive very high proliferation of mobile devices worldwide. And that was a great first decades for Ceva. That's what was the base, the first basis for the growth of the company, and really driving great innovation, focusing on power and efficiency of that so-called DSP architecture, or the ability to
Yeah.
drive the wireless communication. And then came the second era for us, which is about a decade ago. What we've seen, and typically as an IP company, we always look what's coming ahead. And we realized that wireless communication that was based on one or two IP nodes, like your PC and the mobile devices, now will drive and way more proliferation of access, wireless access, with many, many different so-called what back then was called the IoT market, right? Or every device becomes connected. And what the
Yeah.
technology that really helped propagating that from a wireless perspective, they've been the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, and other wireless technologies. And that's where we really help uh, supporting many different customers, tens of customers worldwide, to go and drive this type of technology in developments, because all this technology from the silicon point of view and the software point of view, this is massive investments, and to for each company to do everything and that massive investment on their own, it's really not that economical and doesn't make sense. And with the IP model that we have enabled, we enable basically the propagation beyond so-called what people typically know, Qualcomm and Broadcom in the wireless domain. We enable many, many other players. And with that, through great innovation, better cost structure, with that better cost structure for the consumer, and really that propagation that has been very, very successful.
So currently, your biggest customer is driving that 2 billion that you said over the last year. What sort of areas have been? Has that been wireless then?
Yeah, the 2 billion devices, I would say a significant portion of that from a volume perspective has been driven by wireless connectivity technologies. But we have lots of other technology related to the sensing, whether it's supporting different type of sensors or whether this supports different type of audio use cases, where we also have very nice propagation in the marketplace and very good volume or IP penetration worldwide. So definitely the basis is the wireless connectivity, but as we typically would like to explain, we support the connect, the sense, and the infer. Connect was our early days. Sense was more in the last decade that we propagated more across all the IoT type of use cases. And now, which we'll probably talk in a minute, is the
Yeah.
infer or the AI evolution that is really coming, and we're at the tipping point of that.
We're all used to hearing AI revolution,
Yeah.
evolution, but
Right.
just what are the big challenges right now for the industry? If you look, everybody's just talking about the data centers and the big GPUs and everything else. Have 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 we lost a sense of perspective on what's really going on, or is this really driving everything?
So I think if you look from the hyperscalers or the cloud,
Mm,
definitely the talk of the day is the GPU, and
yeah,
how that architecture, with what NVIDIA have been able to do, is really driving from silicon perspective and software that's come on top of that very strong innovation and acceleration of how things can be done and what they can contribute to overall to the whole society, honestly speaking.
yeah,
But what I think we are missing is how that AI revolution is now moving to so-called hybrid, or from the cloud to support also the edge. And
mm,
within the edge, if we look at the core functionality of those devices on the edge, it started back then with so-called the RISC technology for the CPU, for the central processing. And that's where ARM as an IP provider has dominated that market segment.
yeah,
Then to provide the other peripherals and the wireless connectivity, so what I said previously, moving things from the analog domain to the digital domain, we came and enabled the DSP, or the digital signal processing, as a new processing capabilities to bridge that between the analog domain and the digital domain.
yeah,
Then came the GPU from rendering and display that now, especially on the cloud, has been used extremely efficiently for running neural networks. But specifically on the edge, the next big things from architecture point of view, from a functionality, big capabilities, beyond the risk, the DSP and the GPU, is what is called the NPU, the neural processing unit, which
Yeah.
is basically a machine that needs to run extremely efficiently on the edge. The neural network, so-called the AI models, the decision making related to the AI. And I think people are missing how big that evolution is coming to the edge, where literally every single device that we will hold in our hands or the robots around us we will use, or the cars or every other device will be relying on is those core NPUs inside that will go side by side with the CPU and the DSP and the other functionality to drive that very high efficiency of the neural networks, which again on the edge, it's much more needed because it's a very constrained environment. Size, power, cost, and all the other things, you need that efficiency.
So, I mean, for that, you need strong sort of collaboration with the customers and partners, I guess, because you are sitting alongside a lot of other technologies that need to make all of this happen.
Yeah, so there are two things actually related to that. One, I think it's very important to have a very broad access to customers
Mm,
because this market from the requirements, starting even from the use cases and then the requirements for those systems can vary a lot or quite a bit. Okay. So that access to the different customers really enabling us to understand where the market is going, how the needs are shaping up, and with that, what will be the right architecture or the right offering as an IP companies to enable those things. The
mm,
other thing I think that is very needed is the legacy that we have from a technology know-how and the architecture of those systems, both from silicon and software, to provide a solution that is on one hand scalable, because the requirements across the edge can vary a lot from the very tiny machine learning use cases, audio based use cases, all the way to the way more advanced LLM based use cases for ADAS system and so on. So it's one needs to be scalable. On the other hand, it needs to be optimized and easy to be integrated and used. Easier said than done, and that's always where the conflict is very much in.
yeah.
But that's what we've been able to do for the last 2 decades. And I strongly believe we have those capabilities to enable that very successfully for the AI, or what that really means for us is enabling an NPU, scalable one with great architecture and software support that our customers can take it quickly to the market, efficiently, cost effective, and very also power efficient solution to drive their needs and their innovation.
And as you said maybe earlier, was that requires them to understand that through the software and so the software is a key element of that.
Yeah, everyone is talking about CUDA and what NVIDIA has been able to do, of course, unbelievable success.
Mm,
But really, and even we look back then to the PC era, Intel with Microsoft and so
yeah,
on, and
yeah.
on. So software and the software stack is critical to really make that solution successful in the marketplace and for the customer to be able to utilize, integrate it, and make it successful for their customers or consumers. And that's why we took the approach early on that we provide basically the whole what we call NewPo Studio or the software stack that come with our NPUs. It's the same
Mm,
software stacks regardless of what is the underlying silicon IP that you want to use, and then provides you really all the functionality that are needed either to design the solution and then to in runtime to have efficient utilization of the silicon that is underneath. Um, and of course, as when you go to the edge, to the very different type of devices, I don't think there's so-called there will be one operating system, if you want to call it like that, or one software stack from one vendor that will drive and own that market segments. It's much more a proliferated and diversified needs of use cases and capabilities. And I believe with our software stack, our customers can really do great stuff and drive it very successfully in the market. So, Nathan, this is very important, and we are definitely putting lots of efforts and listening and working very closely with our customers to enable their software based on what we can deliver to them.
how do you see yourself sort of positioned with everything that's being integrated and coming onto the market with companies, all kinds of companies like Deepex and Ambic and all these companies.
So first, I think if you, since you mentioned Ambic and other companies, the semiconductor companies, we are really not in competition with them. We are here to
Okay.
enable them. Each of
Mm.
them has their own differentiation and way to add on top of what that they are taking from us. And so definitely we see that as a way of enabling the market. But with that, and as you pointed, we do have competition, and I think it's healthy as well for the
Yeah.
marketplace. And as I look at the competition and what we can offer differently, and why I believe we will be a very, very successful player in that market segment with strong leadership, is that we basically took three things that are critical that I believe we do the best and quite uniquely. One, from the core architecture of those solutions, our ability to drive extremely efficiency of power and performance, coming again from edge, DSP, and wireless connectivity background, I believe we truly have the best solution out there today, and we will continue that. The other thing is that as an IP provider for so long, we typically take the long view and trying so-called to predict where the future comes. We, more than 4, 5, 6 years ago, we already basically predicted, we didn't know exactly to what level and the specific timing, but the AI machine learning will move basically to neural networks. And with that, the needs to utilize transformers and other ways of optimization, that this is really coming and we invested early on. So today, we are really ahead of the competition in terms of being able to offer those type of a solution to the level of sophistication that we have. And the last piece is what you mentioned, the software stack can come on top of that, but in a scalable way, supporting all the different underlying silicon IP that are needed. So a complete portfolio with the software stack, where the core is extremely efficient from power performance capabilities.
One of the things you and your colleagues have told me at the beginning of the call is, yeah, we're seeing an opening up of the NPU market, and yeah, we're entering. It's a turning point, a tipping point for the NPU adoption. What are the things you're going to be able to do to keep ahead of that as well?
First, even before that, Nathan, I would say many people have been skeptical to some degree the level of penetration that we will see of NPU or the needs to run neural networks in the very different edge devices.
Mm.
And truly, in the last 6 to 12 months, we see the pivotal moments where literally almost everyone starting to realize that in their device there will be a need for neural networking capabilities, and things are moving from, I would call it, algo based to running effectively and efficiently neural networks. I'll give two very different examples where when I asked those customers a year ago, they said, we don't think we will need it. We don't see how that fits. So two examples. One is on the audio domains, more on the edge side, right? Whether it's for noise cancellation and other capabilities, traditionally that has been used by DSPs or some kind of CPU risk functionality. Now, literally, with all those customers, and just a week ago, we had a customer that for more than a year said, we don't see why this is needed. Now they're rushing to get their hands on how to move to an NPU architecture with the other
Mm.
functionality in mind as well. The other piece, when everyone talks about the cloud, they think, or the infrastructure, they think about the hyperscalers running the core functionality of the chat GPT or the prompt that you want to get an answer. That's running on the cloud using GPU, having multi-core GPUs and so on. But
Mm.
even there, the whole data manipulation is done through moving and having the so-called the communication between the different cores. And some of that, those are, for example, optical communication. So there is
Yes.
the optical device, but in addition, what we see right now, whether it's for the memory device or the optical device, customers are starting to embed NPUs that are more embedded NPU to accelerate those functionalities and to make them even more efficient. So the whole data manipulation, and it doesn't matter where it's need to be run, even that is getting enhanced right now with NPU functionality. So this is truly now a propagation that happens everywhere, literally everywhere, in almost every use case that we can think in every device,
Mm.
and we're in the center of that. So this is we are super excited where the market is going and what we can offer in that marketplace. And I think we will see a great decade ahead of us on top of the other two that we previously discussed.
With the NPU, I mean, reaching 20 billion is a great landmark, but it's a 2 billion run rate a year. Can you see that going to significantly higher and exponentially because of just the whole sort of edge AI market taking off?
Yeah, this will move much faster. The NPU penetration, as I said, literally now goes into pretty much every device. So
Mm.
I would say within the spans of the coming 2, 3, 4, 5 years, uh, this is completely get accelerated. So both on volume, so-called penetration, but as well as the content that is needed in every device. And you were asking about the innovation. The one challenge with AI, but also the opportunity, is that not only the functionality is getting embedded very quickly, but what that functionality can do, and with that, what you need to support, is moving faster than we have ever seen in any other technology.
Mm.
And that's a challenge. It's honestly some challenge for us as well, how to every very quickly have improved and better solution for the marketplace. But it's a challenge for the whole ecosystem and the industry. As an IP provider, it provides us the benefits or the value because it's extremely hard for all those companies to run that quickly and each of them to do their own stuff in a very dedicated way. That investments and the speed of innovation, it's extremely challenging and can kill some of those companies. So as an IP player, we have a very important role in helping with that.
So, last sort of takeaway that you'd like customers to, our audience to understand.
I would say first, AI is not really only about GPU. NPU are going to play a big role as the new architecture, and especially on the edge, so-called for the hybrid AI utilization. With that, at Ceva, we have great technology for all the different NPUs requirements. That is a scalable portfolio with all the software stack on top of that. And we are looking to be at the center of that innovation. And for our customers worldwide, it's we can really help getting you much faster to the market, drive the innovation, while you all add your own uniqueness of capabilities, like the few companies that you just mentioned previously. And it's great to be in the center of all that. We are looking to enable the markets, so-called be the guys behind the scenes to
Mm.
enable those great things for our customers and then for the consumers. Super exciting time. Great to have the $20 billion units achievements, but looking forward to beyond it and above that.
That wasn't a slip of the tongue, was it? But anyway, Amir, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ethan.